Today, we are going to talk about cash, the green stuff. Are you interested? Let's go.
Welcome to the show. Tired of the hype about living the dream? It's time for truth. This is the place for tools, power, and real talk so you can create the life you dream and deserve. Your ultimate life. Subscribe, share, create. You have infinite power.
Hello there. Welcome to Your Ultimate Life, the podcast 100% dedicated to you, to help you live and enjoy your own personal purpose, that driving passion that gets you up every day and fuels the grin from ear to ear. We're here to talk about prosperity because, let's face it, you gotta have cash. That's why in this picture, I've got stacks of coin right here over my left shoulder, stacks of coin. And on the other side, I've got what? I've got light and revelation. So I want to talk about the relationship between spiritual things and cash. Money can't buy spirituality, and spirituality doesn't automatically create cash. All that law of attraction nonsense notwithstanding, and I call it nonsense just to irritate you, because there is truth, absolute truth in clarity, vision, intention, and so forth. There is absolute truth and power in that. So there's a place for it. But people divide it up and make it too simple. Well, if I just sit around and, put an order into the universe like a cosmic vending machine, sooner or later it will come, that's nonsense. Action is in the law of attraction, right? It is also in dissatisfaction. Action is in a lot of things. So let's talk today about the clear relationship between spirituality and cash. And like I said, cash doesn't buy spirit, and spirit doesn't automatically produce cash. So it's not a causality, but there is a clear relationship. So the first thing I want to talk about is this. Cash is not good. It is also not evil. Cash is just energy. It is a medium of exchange. This pile of gold coins over my left shoulder is just a pile of gold coins. It only means something when we agree it does. Silver coins, platinum coins, whatever. Today we use paper money, and now that's out of fashion practically, and we use what? Electrons, right? We use little debit things and little pieces of plastic with microchips, and we got Bitcoin and blockchain. All of those things represent the same thing. So let's get this out of the way, and we're not going to have a long philosophical debate about what money is or isn't. Money is just an exchange medium. Okay, we used to do things by trade. I grew corn, you grew cows. I traded you corn that you needed, and you gave me some cow if I ate meat, right? Or maybe milk. And so we used to trade goods for goods. In order to have that corn, I had to go out in the field and work. In order to have the milk or the meat, you had to go feed the cows and take care of them, and then, slaughter them if it was meat or whatever, and make it available. Now, that kind of barter or exchange agreement is fabulous. It worked forever, and it still works. Okay, people still do barter and exchange. Money is simply the thing that we invented when we didn't have a reason to trade directly. Maybe I didn't make anything you needed. So we invented money so that we could have an intermediary, a place to put the value. So if I grew way more corn than I could trade away, I sold it to an exchange and I got cash, a token that I got to hold. So instead of holding the corn that rotted, I held the coin. The coin doesn't rot, presumably, although inflation has a different idea. But I held the coin until I could give it to somebody else. That's all money is. End of story. Now, what we've done is we've turned it into a religion. We've turned it into a status symbol. We've turned it into lust and greed and cruelty and murder and war and kindness, and I got to have more than you, and it only matters if my car's newer or better than yours, or yours is newer or better than mine, or your house is bigger, and vacations and status and coolness and access and privileges and right? I live in Canada, but my wife and I are both dual national, U.S. and Canadian. And so I'm fascinated and horrified by what I see going on in the United States right now. Like, one political party won the election a couple of years ago. The other political party is now behaving in a horrifically ridiculous way, viciously doing things that are wrong and pretending they're right. Now, I'm not even talking about who won. Maybe if the other had won, they would do the same thing, right? So, but my point is, it's really clear. And you know what funds all that money? Somebody's got a bunch of money to trade to create chaos. So they're using their money to create chaos for whatever reason. Maybe they believe it's the right thing to do and it's a good reason. I'm not doing politics today, but I do see it. And when I see the behaviors, I think there is no way anybody can justify that as okay, right? All right, so we see that. We see how money's used in good ways and bad ways. We've got a war going on in the Middle East right now, hopefully coming to an end pretty soon, but I don't know. And another war going on in Ukraine, same thing. And that one's up and close and personal for us because my wife's dad was born in Odessa, and we've had a Ukrainian mother and daughter, refugee family, living with us for 3.5 years. They left 6 months ago. Well, they moved out to their own place finally after 3.5 years. They came in June of 22 and moved out in October of 25. And so almost 3.5 years. And now they have their own place for the last few months. But the war is still atrocious. Death and drones and administering murder and killing just because. How horrifying. And it seems to be all about power, both in the case of the political behavior and attempted assassinations that are going on in the United States, which are wrong in any universe, and in the power grab and land grab in Ukraine, which is wrong in any universe, and, all of the stuff, other wars, Hezbollah and all these people just killing each other. It's horrifying and wrong. Money is the lubricant. Money is the driver. Money is used in those cases for evil, wrong, wickedness, etc., etc. But money itself isn't bad. It is being somebody's choosing to use it for destructive and hurtful purposes. On the other hand, money, same coin, same stash, is being used to feed the hungry. It is being used to build schools, for humanitarian purposes, to rescue animals. Joy has a soft spot for that, and every time she sees an animal commercial on TV, she's, her heart beats fast and wants to support that. But it's being used for positive things. There are aid organizations that are real, and I'm not talking about phony fraud things that seem to be everywhere, not just in the U.S., but all over the place, where people are stealing for their own comfort. Talking about genuine people doing genuine good with lots of nonprofits and charities and churches and love and kindness. Money, same thing. So let's just and again, I'm not taking any position on this because that's not the point of this show. The point of this show is to help you create a life of purpose, prosperity, which includes all the cash you need, and joy. Purpose, prosperity, and joy. And today, I want to talk about the relationship between spirituality and money. And I said all that first part about cash because it's used for good and for ill. It's used to build and to break. It's used for cruelty and for kindness. You know that, I know that. So money isn't anything. People say the money's the root of all evil. No, that's not what the scripture says. The love of money is the root. Okay, cool. So let's set that aside now and be done with that conversation, no matter which side you're on. Any of those conflicts, you might be on one side or the other and think one side's evil. I don't care. Money is the fuel, and it is being used to foment death and hurt. Money is also the fuel and being used to promote goodness, kindness, love, rescuing, food, satisfaction, help, and all the rest. Okay, we know that. So let's talk about the relationship. Now that we've clearly established money's not the culprit, it's how we treat it. Okay? When you create things of value, you can get paid. Now, you and I might choose, and I hope you do, because I do, to volunteer in the community to help. One of the way things up here is the food drive every year, handing out bags and collecting them, and it takes a few days and very involved. I've worked in soup kitchens, and so have you probably. I've worked in homeless places, and so have we. So have you. Sorry, I meant us, me and you, Joy and I, whatever. You've done those things. Of course you have, because your heart is full of kindness and good. So I'm not talking here about our innate desire to serve, to volunteer, to help, to lift, to bless, and love. That is good, and it's a right and good use of our resources if you donate, or your time if you donate time and effort. So we're treating those categories. We've talked about them, how people use things for evil or good, and money's not the culprit, and the volunteering piece. I'm talking about creating prosperity in your life, cash, money, an abundance, surplus, more than you need, not to lord it over anyone or to laugh or to point fingers or to be la-di-da, but to use it to help, to love, to serve, and to bless. That is the highest and best use of our talents and gifts and resources, period. We're built to love and serve. And if you, with your effort and business acumen, build a very successful business, good, then use it for good. I love the stories of those wealthy people who said they're going to give all their money away before they die, or they're supporting this or that charity. And I realize there's tax advantages. So what? They're still doing it. It's still supporting all those good things. And so denigrating them because they get some tax advantage, the law's written that way. Why shouldn't they take advantage of it? But they're still doing good, supporting universities and learning and study and growth and, trade schools and whatever else it is. All right. So I want you, excuse me. I want you to be rolling in cash. My goal is to create 3,000 millionaires. Me among them, and 300 deca-millionaires. And by that, I mean you make $1 million a year take home, or you make 10 million a year take home. I can help you create that. I'm doing it for me. Why? Not because I need more stuff, because I don't. But I can have more reach and do more good and support more people and spread love and kindness and learning and lifting in a bigger and broader area. And that's what I want for you. Because the 3,000 millionaires and the 300 deca millionaires that I am creating already, I'm only working with people who have it in their hearts to add good to the world, who want to create and accumulate resources to serve, to bless, to lift, and to love. And you know what I'm joyfully aware of? That fits more people than I thought. Because at least in the groups that I hang out with or talk to or whatever, most people are saying, I want to do good. I want to add good to the world. I want to create good things and bless and serve. And yeah, it's fun to have cool stuff. But the real reason is, and then, waxing poetic about the good they're going to do. And they do. I know so many people that are supporting so many different things. I have a friend, it's a client actually, who is a world-class fundraiser for nonprofits. She's raised a couple billion with a B for nonprofits already, and she's full on in mid-career, right? Best fundraiser I know for nonprofit stuff. And so that's her passion and her heart. And for her, that is spiritual food and fulfillment. For her, that nourishes her soul because she facilitates people being able to do the good they want to do. I know another guy that starts nonprofits, and he's got a world-class company doing that. Same reason. All right, so let's talk about money, shall we? A lot of people get weird when this goes on because of the reasons we said. They either build the big cash pile and lose themselves, or they speak about spirituality, and they never create anything. that feeds real life. Now, you can live an average life and get by and make a little money and go all the way and do good in the community and so forth, and go all the way till you die and do that, and you're a hero or a heroine. You are that. And if that's how you want to be, I applaud you. If you are satisfied and deeply filled in your heart with that, I love you for that and thank you. And then there is another group who say, I have gifts and skills and talents that allow me to create much larger, much bigger, to influence and help more people. I want to do that. And they're willing to walk the road. You could think, and I'm not saying this applies universally, but you could think that your spirit-driven thing that never reaches cash is incomplete. Now, that's not universal, because there's some people that just do what they need to do and live a great service-filled and loving life. You know, my grandfather was that. He built a house, ran a farm, raised good kids, never was wealthy, but the kids turned out good, added a lot of good to the world. And that, we applaud those people. Today, in 2026, as I'm recording this, there's the opportunity like there never has been to make boatloads of cash. Somebody said a little while ago that AI is going to make more millionaires in 20 years or in 5 years than the internet did in 20. I think that's underestimating the power. I think it's 10 times that because of how powerful the technology is. Now, it's up to us to be the kind of people that are good stewards of that money. So today I want to talk about building stewardship, building cash, how to do it ethically, powerfully, and then add good to the world. And if you have a crappy money story, okay, it's time to get rid of your money story. It's time to understand that having boatloads of cash is not incompatible with goodness, spirituality, righteousness, adding good to the world, etc. Money can poison you, but it doesn't have to. We live in a world where people worship money. You don't have to join that church. You don't have to join the religion of worship of status and money. Instead, you can create cash specifically to add good to the world. All right. So here's 3 invitations. If you have a story of success, living the ultimate life, purpose, prosperity, and joy, overcoming your obstacles and barriers and getting there, I want to talk to you. I really do. This is a serious invitation. Go to yourultimatelifepodcast.com. URL's there on the screen, yourultimatelifepodcast.com, and there's a contact form. I want to hear your story. I want to share your story. I'd love to have you as a guest and understand how you add good to the world and the yearnings and passion in your heart to make a difference. I love having you as guests. The second thing is, if you are struggling with understanding how to create cash from your unique gifts and talents, same place, yourultimatelifepodcast.com, contact form and use the title line help. If you want me to show you, because I can show you several different ways, at least a dozen ways to turn your life, your story, your skills, your gifts, your talents into cash and get on the road to being one of my 3,000 millionaires or 300 decamillionaires. You can do that. It's not going to do itself, and you have to walk the road and do the work, but you can have that. And I'd love to help you. And the third invitation is, if you know someone who has a story that ought to be shared, they've written the book or they've had the life experience and they should be here, then connect them with me. So those are the 3 invitations. So remember, cash is what people pay with. Money's not dirty. It's just that exchange, but money is not the mission, right? But it is part of the manifestation of good work. Now, again, I said before, you don't have to have it. Lots of people live good, powerful, happy lives and don't create big cash. So I'm not saying that's a requirement, but I'm saying it's available if you want it. And that I stand by without hesitation. All right, here's 2 common errors, okay, why this doesn't work. Here's a couple of things that really trip people up. First of all, people dive into the world the body, the world, and money without the spirit or the spirituality or the purpose. You know, it is its purpose, prosperity, and joy. Purpose has to come first. And so what they live by is hustle, metrics, growth, brand, image, applause, followers, status, noise, bragging, with a hollow and empty heart. End of story. I've lived there, I know it, and I've met countless people, and so have you, who live there, and they're not truly happy. They're bragging, strutting, and acting cool, but they're not happy. Their lives are hollow. You know it, I know it, and they know it. The result is success without peace. The result is money without meaning, money without meaning, and growth, obvious growth without wholeness. I don't want to do that. I'm not doing it. I live that ultimate life, purpose, prosperity, and joy every day, all day long. Why? Because I've created it. And now I'm giving you these 1,000-something episodes about how I did it and what you can do. I want to help you create it because that's my mission. Okay, now there's the other side. There is all the spirit talk with no bank. So I've met thousands of broke healers, and I call them broke healers affectionately. I used to actually be one, talking about spirit and getting out of your own way and creating things in love and service. And then when you get to the money thing, it's like, well, you ought to give that away, and money's bad and poison, and, and it's all beautiful words. And they talk about alignment and 5D manifestations and all that stuff, high ideas. And those are all beautiful things. I'm not saying there's one thing wrong with that, but there's no monetization. There's no sales. There's no offer. There's no structure. There's no measurable value. And so what that ends up being is a person, you, me, you have created spirituality for yourself. You are awakened. You live in a 5D reality with revelation and everywhere. And that's it. Your impact is ended. You and the few individuals that you touch. And so you spend your time in revelation and you affect a very few people. That's a beautiful thing for those few people and for you. And if that is the desire of your heart and you're done, then this isn't for you. I'm talking to you who want to live with that kind of revelation and power and yearning, and I call it your purpose, but who want to create big cash to have big impact. So if you have the cash and the drive without spirit, it's empty and hollow. If you have the spirit without the drive and cash, you may personally be fulfilled, but your impact is tiny. Okay, you're going to have inspiration without livelihood. You're going to have to do something else for work, and your impact is going to be small. You'll have a beautiful vision, and there'll be no architecture. So I don't want that for you. There's going to be service without sustainability. Now, I don't mean you can't volunteer in your community or church forever, because you can. But service at scale will be beyond your reach. And if that's your desire, then the rest of this conversation is specifically for you. Now, neither one of those extremes is whole. The worldly view with creating cash without service and spirit is empty and is horribly destructive and corrosive. And spirit without creating value is of limited reach. And that's sad, because today it is easier than it has ever been in the history of the world to have enormous reach, to have enormous impact, to reach thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions. My goal is to reach 300 million people. I used to say, I don't know how I'm going to do that. Today, I know how, and we're well on our way. And we're well on our way to creating the cash and building a $150 million company that supports this. The Ultimate Life University, with the School of Transformational Authorship and Creation, the School of Transformational Coaching, the School of Transformational Leadership and Business, and the School of Personal Sovereignty. Those 4 schools in the Ultimate Life University underpin this business that I have that is all about doing good and creating the resources to sustain a global impact. Okay, so let's talk about now why money matters in your work. Money matters because obviously it funds impact. It's hard to write and distribute materials, books, reach without some cash. It's hard to create a university like I am, or whatever your vision is. I shared with you my vision. Yours can be completely different, but it's funny how many people I talk to that say, well, I want to create a retreat center. I heard a couple of others say the word university, but retreat centers and places where there's learning and growth and healing and, whether it's focused on addictions or trauma or childhood things or, just all kinds of different things. And they're pouring their heart and passion. All of those things take cash. And here's one model. One model says, I'm going to speak and I'm going to create such a beautiful vision that somebody else who's already done all the work and created big cash is going to come forward and pour money on me to do my beautiful vision. Well, that's possible, but the odds are 1 in a zillion. Much more likely is if you create at least some of what that is. You see that on things like Shark Tank or Dragon's Den or whatever. The first question they ask is, how many of you sold? Where are they? What's going on right now? Rarely, if ever, is it, oh, that's a great idea. Let me give you $1 zillion. Rarely. When you or I have put in the effort to create cash and some infrastructure and some products and services that support a large vision, then it's possible to have people come forward to fund. But not without the base layer, not without the beginnings, not without some foundational work done. Okay, here's another thing. Money matters also because it buys you time. It buys you reach. It lets the message travel far and wide. Okay, like I said, I've written 24 books. If I didn't have the money to market or promote them, their impact would be limited. Now, I told you I'm going to create 3,000 millionaires. That's 1 million take home, and 300 decamillionaires, which is 10 million take home. That's not fantasy. It's easier today to do that than it's ever been. And this is honestly my goal. And I think I need to reach 300 million people to find those folks who are willing to create that money in this powerful, ethical way, and that are willing to do the work to make it happen. Because nobody falls up that mountain. Ask anyone who's created $1 million take-home business. Was that easy? Did it just happen? 1 in a zillion will say, yeah, I stumbled on the right thing, but 99.99999% not. All right. Honesty, actual usefulness, measurable sovereignty, which is your or my ability to, impact people, not vanity, not strutting, not fake success. That's not what we're doing. Other people may be. People that say, I'm going to teach you how to make $1 million. I don't care. We're talking about ethically, powerfully doing good, adding good to the world using your gifts and talents. If you're one of those, again, yourultimatelifepodcast.com, use the contact form and tell me, because I want to talk to you. Cash is not the point by itself. I'm not interested in helping people say profound, cool stuff and stay broke. I'm interested in helping you use your unique positioning and gifts and talents to make a boatload of cash so your message can reach the millions in the marketplace in a real way that needs to happen. That's who I am. If that appeals to you, reach out to me. All right, I want to talk a little bit about the more deeper connection between spirit and money. Okay? If you let your guidance, your intuition, I call it spirit, but you can call it whatever you want. If you let your purpose, if you choose your life purpose and you let it lead and lift you and fuel you, your message gets clearer Now, if you didn't hear yesterday's podcast about being a category of one, I was talking to coaches and how to survive AI and how to make good money and matter in the coaching world. But the message there's a lot of application to this. When you let your intuition, your life experience, and your spirit, or the spirit, the love, whatever you want to call it, when you let that lead, your message gets clearer. You get bolder. You get more powerful because you are no longer afraid of what people think. You are no longer judging by likes and comments and, "Ooh, I hope this works and I hope somebody buys," and all that energy that's just poison. You know what else happens when the spirit or your intuition leads you? Your service that you offer gets more useful. It's more focused, more clear, and it gets more useful. It's better. Your confidence goes way up. And when you deliver your confidence, it's true. It's not performative. You're not performing expertise. You're not performing confidence. You're simply being real and true. And that's who you are because you have spirit-led certainty. Now, I'm not talking about sitting a long time in church and being weird. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about connecting to the truth of your divine nature. Now, if you don't know how to do that, I've got a book to teach you. Yeah, I've got a book for everything. You know why I wrote all these? I needed them. Living with Purpose and Power. Read that. That will show you exactly how to create a spirit or intuition or inspiration-led life, including a business. When you lead people, you get clearer and your people will flock to your message because you have something clear, true, embodied, and powerful. When spirit is leading, then your cash becomes real exchange because you've provided real, lived, battle-tested, embodied, measurable value. Not woo-woo stuff. You've provided something that people are dying to pay for because it's real. Cash then becomes also evidence that what you're providing is real. Cash becomes multiplication. Forgot the L. Multiplication, right? It allows you to multiply your reach, multiply your impact. And if you don't want to, that's fine. But most people that I talk to do. I want to help a lot of people. I'm going to give back. I want to help thousands. I want to help millions. You know me, 300 million. Am I crazy? Probably. I don't care. I'm going all in. That's all I'm doing. That's why I'm making these, right? That's why I'm inviting you to be a guest. If you've got a story you want to share, come with me. Join me. Let's make you one of the millionaires. Money that is made from truth feels different than money that's just made as compensation. Let me say that again. When you or I get paid or make money from sharing embodied, powerful, lived truth and helping people because we do, that feels way different than money that is just compensation. Here are some of the characteristics. There is less desperation. If you've ever had that feeling, whatever your business is, I need more customers, I need more clients, oh no, what do I do? That vanishes when what you create, money you create, comes from truth and lived experience. Then manipulation disappears. There's no convincing. There's no yucky, squirmy feeling. It's fun because I used to feel that. Like horribly. I used to feel I hated enrollment. I hated sales. I choose to be a coach, but it's the same no matter what you're selling. Truth, honesty, real value, embodied experience. That's the power. That's why I say that the best gift you have to offer the world is the story of your own becoming. And if you haven't written the book of you yet, the book that outlines how you got where you are, you're missing most of your power. So I invite you to do that. If you want to know how, again, yourultimatelyfepodcast.com, contact form, talk to me. When you're led by spirit to create cash, you're not worried about inflating your image. You're not worried about pretending. You're not worried about, showing up powerfully, because there's real, deep, and powerful substance to what you share. It withstands scrutiny and examination and testing and pushing because it's real, pure gold. And you have that. You are pure gold. I'll bet you're not using it yet. I'll bet you're not manifesting your greatest achievements and accomplishments. I'll bet you're not boldly standing and loving and living at your full capacity. I'll bet you're not. Not because I know you personally right this second. Maybe I do, I don't know. But because 99% of people I meet aren't. They're using tentative language and fearful approaches and thoughts and conversation. Not necessary. You're more important, better, more unique, and more powerful than that. And I plead with you to step forward with your own transformation and story in whatever business you're in, and lead from heart and spirit, because then the money you make is pure, it is clean, it is power, it is more leverageable, you have more durability, right? Because there's nothing to hide. All right. Here's a couple of ways to think about this. Consecrated work creates cleaner cash. And if you hear the word consecration, it doesn't mean you have to be about work with the homeless or in a church or anything else. Any product or service you create can be done with the idea of just figuring out how to make cash, or with the idea of deeply providing meaningful and lasting value. When your commitment is to provide deep and meaningful, lasting value, create relationships with your customers that matter and that are deep, it all feels beautiful. When your spirit is fed and you approach every day, everything stops feeling like a hustle. Now, I had a whole nother episode a few episodes ago talking about getting the spirit fed first. That's so important. Go back and listen to that one. Your spirit has to be fed first, or none of this that I'm talking about is possible. The marketplace, anybody in the market can feel the difference between conviction and someone that's just trying to get compensated, get paid. People love certainty. They love embodied experience. They love lived and true stories. So do you. So do I. That's who you're attracted to. So then the real invitation is to be one. All in. All right. So let's talk about why a book or a body of work matters here. When you, and this, I know this from experience, not only my own, but helping a lot of people write them. When you write a book, it is the most strategic and powerful way to organize your life experience. Why would you want to organize your life experience? Because it's the most powerful tool you have to make a difference in the world and to create impact and income. Income, impact, and joy. Excuse me. Purpose, prosperity, and joy comes most powerfully from your own life story, and me for mine. Writing a book is the most strategic way to organize and share that. It clarifies your truth. It simplifies and structures the message you have. It anchors your authority, especially if you do it in a deep, vulnerable, and powerful way. And I can show you how to do that. Or somebody else can, but if you want my help, yourultimatelifepodcast.com, and put in the subject line book. There's nothing that gives authority like a well-written book. It has to be well written. I know somebody that wrote one that wasn't well written, and it just bombed because they didn't follow the formula of authority. But anyway, this is not ego positioning. This is not about bragging. This is about honest and deep sharing of life experience. And that's the thing that makes spirit-created money powerful. Nobody resents or regrets giving cash for real value. In fact, it's like, wow, I got all that and I only had to pay that? Can I have more, please? And when you come from your own truth, the answer is yes, there's more, and you never run out. I want you to think about it, right? This is how spirit can reach form, manifested, embodied form in a book. or a program you create from a book. A book is not just a manuscript. It's a container. It's an organized container for your consecrated value. So if you want to know more about that, there's two URLs, dreambuildwriteit.com, dreambuildwriteit.com, or yourultimatelife.podcast.com. Use the contact form. I can show you how to do it because I've helped a lot of people do that too. And that creates a spine or an authority mechanism. It's how your spiritual experience, your overcoming, and your lived experience, not just your woo-woo stuff, becomes a structure. And the structure then can create value that you can sell, and value becomes cash. And cash becomes expanded service. You can reach more people and do more good. You can create any kind of business you want. Any kind of service business, products and tools and apps. I know people creating apps from these things successfully. And it's wonderful because how many people are they helping? All right. So there's lots of ways to turn that into real value and impact. So make your money holy, consecrated. And how you do it? Make your work true. And by true, I mean it is founded and grounded in who you are. It is founded and grounded in what you know, what you live, what you have lived, what you've learned, and what you love. So here's the warnings. Don't worship money. Don't get into the church of money. Don't measure your status and worth by all that crap. That's poison and it'll kill you. Okay? I've been down that disease road. But also do not fear money. Remember, it's just an energetic exchange mechanism. And you can have a ton of it. You can have a ton of it. People will pour it on you if you create value. Bring your work out in a consecrated, and I use that word to mean intentionally focused to add good to the world. So that when you do that, then cash is clean and there's no contamination about it at all. So feed your spirit first, do your work from that place, and then build something worth paying for. And you can. You might be hearing this and think, that's all beautiful words, Kellan, but I can't. You can't say that unless you've talked to me and I can show you how. And you don't have to talk to me, but if you're going to give up and say you don't have it, you don't know what I'm talking about, you can't do that with your life and experience, it's not true. You're free to give up, but that's sad because I need your brilliance. I need your truth. I need your love. I need to see you blossom fully. So here's some final questions to think about. Is your message clear enough yet to scale? Is your work true enough to charge for? And how you measure that is, are you the embodied outcome of what you teach? Are you still hiding behind, quote, spirit stuff because you're afraid of the market? It's easier now to turn it into valuable service than it's ever been. Are you hiding behind money because you're afraid of the truth? That road leads to death and dissatisfaction. I want you to know that I love you. I'm here for you. I'm absolutely all in for you creating a life of purpose, prosperity, and joy, or whatever your magic words are. I know without any hesitation and question, you can let cash become proof that your truth is in the world and having an impact. And it is a beautiful way to build the palace and the life. In fact, your ultimate life.
Never hold back and you'll never ask why. Open your heart and this time around.
Right here, right now. Your opportunity for massive growth is right in front of you. Every episode gives you practical tips and practices that will change everything. If you want to know more, go to KellanFluckigerMedia.com. If you want more free tools, go here, yourultimatelife.ca. Subscribe. Share.
Stand with your heart in the sky and your feet